Uh, I'm Steve. I'm from Canada. And I started KocoGarden technically because it's a studio space that I had here in Koganecho, and I wasn't using it as studio space. I was going to use it as gallery space. I was planning an installation. And the beginning of what became KocoGarden was the question, I think, what if I didn't put something in this space? What if I just held space for other things to emerge in this space? And so I put in a few objects, so there was something there. It all started with the idea too that for me, art is a verb. It's action, it's things happening. You end up with artifacts as a result of that intention. So it was that exploration of art as a verb, and then holding space for art as a verb, and wanting to do that in collaboration with other people.
Ralph and I would always talk about wanting to rent another studio space in Koganecho to make it kind of like a hangout space. Because for us, our experience in Koganecho, what's very precious to us is the random moments where we get to say hi to people as they're like walking to the train station or going to the grocery, or they're smoking outside of their studio, just trying to chill out from life and the overwhelm that is life. These moments of hanging out is very close to us culturally, I think, because we have a word for it called tambay, which comes from standby. So is standby and it became tambay. So it means just hanging out with no particular reason. And Ralph and I had a feeling that we wanted to host a space for doing tambay.
Yeah, I think I was like, I have that, for me, kind of connection to this practice of like working with a community through art. And I think it was kind of natural, yeah, when Steve opened up his studio and like Ness and I are talking about these things, about doing these kinds of projects where you communicate, collaborate, or interact with people in doing art projects, was also kind of like naturally occurring. And also like from our practice as collectives, that's also part of it, like, because within yourselves, you're already like kind of like a very small community of people who work together. And it's also natural to spread that idea of like working together and collaboration.
Yeah, I think Koganecho has played a huge role in us finding a space in Japan, because we moved here from the Philippines, and it's not easy to resituate yourself within the arts ecosystem. And so it's such a huge thing for us to be able to be here and, just have something to hold on to. And I think that has definitely, and then actually, because for me personally, because I feel like, I have a network, I have, there are these spaces that are accessible to me. I have found, and we have found, that we are also able to invite our friends here in Koganecho and host collaborations. I think it's really cool. It's quite unbelievable, to be honest, that we have that capacity.
For me, KocoGarden is representative of that dynamic where this sense of helping grow a community that is holding me is how I've been articulating it to friends. And I was in a place when I arrived here, I needed to be held by community, and I was. And then I found a place to help grow that community that was holding me, and I think that's what everybody who's part of a community does, is you contribute yourself as you bring yourself. That grows the community strengthened, and as the community is strengthened, it can hold you and hold more people. So again, that this happening on a, I can talk about it in art making sense and in conceptual terms, and at the same time it's happening on this sort of deeply personal level of, because we're talking about things like community and belonging, and very human things that I think art is about and should be about. So I think that holding together for me, my own personal experience, my own experience as just a human being, my experience as an artist, that just being part of my day-to-day life here in Koganecho, and that just really being manifest in KocoGarden.
I think what we realize is that, okay, we start with us first, like the artists, like the three of us, and then the artists here, and then the staff. And then through making that effort, then maybe we can let the other residents, and of course through the exhibition, like outside Koganecho, can come in and be part of this project. So I think in that way, this kind of having to think of like, okay, maybe we first, and like we as friends first, and then like the larger community, like through that ripple effect, influence me in a sense that as artists who maybe work with community, we also need to think of ourselves or think of our group. Of course, we have that that idea or that how do you say, interest and wanting to work with communities, because that's inherent in our art practices. But at the same time, Steve and I were talking about this because also, like, we're facing challenges in our lives, in personal lives, and I think this idea to kind of how can we make this project also help ourselves is also very interesting, and I think not really new to me, but also very good thing to think about for my practice as well. So yeah.
Someone last night asked about the future of KocoGarden, and Ness said Kokoro Garden.
So KocoGarden.
So it's a place that helped this community kind of see itself and have a sense of itself, and now that sense of community is in everybody's hearts. Some of those short-term artists have gone back home, so it's literally like already traveled around the world. And so that idea of this kind of jumping and spreading, I don't know, like the garden metaphor, seeds being spread around the world, seeds of KocoGarden. I really like that idea. And it's KocoGarden's gone through a couple of phases. There was the doing all of the stuff, and Ralph and I buried in that. Then we needed Ness to help make sense of what all of that was, and then we presented it for the exhibition. So that's been this kind of second phase. Now it all needs to come down. It's gonna go away as it was, but it still exists in all the artists and all staff, all the people who are part of it. Hopefully it comes back here in another iteration, and then can spread from there. KocoGarden around the world.
I think also, like, just to say why it's called KocoGarden, it's from Koganecho community. So like Koganecho community garden.
If there's anything that, our art practice and this specific project is trying to push forward, and I think it's really countering this idea of being too individualistic. I think we live in a world where, you have to make it on your own, you have to survive on your own, and that is kind of like the sign of strength. But I think that's really opposite to how humans actually are. We actually need each other, and it's okay to need other people. And it's also nice to be needed. So I think in essence, that's really what KocoGarden is about. Yeah.
We made Sai cry. Good job.
Comment.
Is Sai cry? I cannot see.